Sounds like a German name. I don't know what. But so I saw her, but she had changed when she was at the library in Long Bend. She was very plain Jane, but now she had teased hair and lipstick and everything on. Really
Yeah.
sharp looking. And so I said hi, and she says, "Come meet my boss." She took me into the office, the next door, and I saw all these stars. It was General Abrams. Now,
Oh,
General
these
Abrams.
these are the
was-
high rollers
yeah,
here.
General Abrams replaced Westmoreland when he
Right.
left.
I believe
And
Westmoreland was called Wastemoreland.
oh yeah. Well, he was
Westmoreland,
just a politician.
Yeah.
He was no a Patton. Let's put it that way. He was no Patton. No UCS Grant. He was just a Patton, a politician. So I sat down and I talked for around a half an hour with General Abrams, and I was terrified because
Yeah.
I said, if he knows,
If you
first
know
of all,
who you were.
at the time, yeah, I know it was all prearranged. I realize that now, but at the time, it was all dawning on me. It was like a slow realization. Hey, what's going on here?
Hey,
So I'm
what's
sitting
an
there
E1
terrified.
doing with the general?
I know. That's true. So I'm talking to him, and we started talking about baseball because he was General Abrams was from Massachusetts,
Oh,
and but I was so glad to get out of that office, and I never went back to see her.
yeah, really.
I was so afraid.
Oh, cripe.
But actually, it would have made my service days much easier if I had, but I was scared.
Well, cripe, yeah, they put you in jail for nothing. Imagine
well,
if you did
no,
something.
no. They put me in jail illegally
Well,
because if you remember, there was no declared war. And at that time, I'd like to remind you that at that time there was no emergency powers for the president. That came with Nixon. So basically, when I got before the judge who gave me 5 years, Judge Wazinski in federal court, he says, "Mr. Tammy, are you going to go in the service?" And I answered him, "Your Honor, the war is illegal." I was pointing out the law to the federal judge, and he knew I was dead right. He just looked at me with a mean face and he says, "I'm not asking you that." With that tone.
that's not the question
Dude,
here.
yeah. He says, "I'm saying," so I says, well, I replied, I had my answer ready because I was very much into political philosophy at the time.
Yeah.
And I actually believed in history and the Constitution and all that good stuff. And I said to him, well, it's a sad day in the United States when you can go to jail for doing nothing. And he gave me 5 years at Lewisburg.
And he said, well, Mr. Tammy, we understand that, but you're getting 5 years.
But I did get out because every month he gave me a break, and because he would send me a letter every month saying if I wanted to change my mind, he'd let me leave Lewisburg and go in the service. And I was an outdoors guy, and I never had a parking ticket before that, and I couldn't stand jail.
Wasn't your cup of tea, huh?
No, it wasn't my cup of tea. So I said, okay, I'll go in the Army. And then in the middle of the night, they took me out and drove me up to Boston, where I was sworn into the United States Army. And they flew me down to, I think it was Fort Jackson. And I forget whether Fort Jackson is north or South Carolina, but from there I went to Fort Gordon. And I ended up in Vietnam. So anyways,
That was a quick trip.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
They fast-tracked you.
they fast-tracked me. And one of the interesting experiences was that I had gone to Saigon to a house of prostitution as a young man would do himself.
I don't know,
Then-
Victor. We might have to censor that, but we'll go on.
And that night, I was in a show-on section
Oh,
of
yeah,
Saigon.
that's the Chinese section.
That's right, and I was with the prostitute. And of course, that's when the Tet Offensive took place.
Tet? Ah, yes.
And that night, and the Center attack was show on.
Yes, it was.
And
Very
I
good.
did not even have a weapon with me. And the shots started like little raindrops, and before you know it, it was a thunderous roar. And I ran out into the street, and I ran as fast as I could possibly towards Thompson Road Air Base. The whole sky was all lit up, and helicopters, jets, firing everywhere, and I'm running as fast as I could. And I all of a sudden a jeep cuts me off, pulls right in front of me, cuts me off, and out jumps around 6 soldiers, and these were South Vietnamese soldiers, and they put their weapons on me, and I thought they were going to shoot me.
Hey, which side you on?